Welcome back to Sampstra Games, the place to find new strategy games, and welcome to my guide on Flashpoint Campaign Southern Storm. So firstly, this is a we-go game, which means here on the right you have to focus on these green numbers, and every time this amount of time passes in the game you will be able to give out your orders, and then all units will move simultaneously. Note that this can change if there is an electricity like warfare happening. This might change, so then the time between your orders might get delayed to, let's say, 19 or 20 or more, and then you can give out less orders in that same amount of time. At the beginning, you always want to click on scenario information to learn a little bit about a scenario, but more importantly on the operations, which will give you information about the situations and the mission that you want to fulfill in the scenario. A couple more important things in the game is you can click here to see cover, so you can see the cover of each unit, and a very important thing to set up is this line of sight. So you can click on this, or you can click on Control L, and then if you click Shift, you're going to be able to click at any spot on the map and see the line of sight from that specific spot. So this is really important because it will determine whether the enemies can see you and then potentially attack you. So Shift and clicking the mouse button, and you have to be on this LOS down here. Okay. First of all, let's talk about a different unit. So next, you can right click on any unit and you can go to Unit Dashboard, and this will give you some information about what kind of unit it is. For example, you can say this is American Infantry Platoon. Each unit is split into subunit. This number on the left bottom of a unit is telling you the number of fight-capable subunits. So here you can see all of the subunits that the unit have. Because we start the scenario, they're all capable. But right now I'm showing you a different platoon that only has 8 units capable of fighting, because some of them have been injured. Okay. You can then click up here to get additional information about any of these subunits. So you can see their protection, their heat, their sort of information, the weapons they have, sensors and systems, extra capabilities, and other information. And you can go through this for every single one of these units, or you can click here to the right and we'll sort of go through the different types of subunits for this specific unit. You can do the same thing if you right click and go straight to subunit inspector, so you're going to be straight up in these in the subunit information. With a couple more things here you can see. So you can see the key ammo, the readiness of a unit, the morale, and range to HQ. This is important because if your HQ is hurt or destroyed or too far away, the unit won't be as effective. Now, readiness is how well a unit is able to perform as required, and gets lowered by movement or during combat, and it will get back up if a unit is not doing anything. So if it's not being fired upon, if it sits in place, or if you resupply it. Morale, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. You lose it during combat by taking losses or being close to friendly unit that take losses, and you can recover it by resting, resupplying, and sometimes by killing other units. When you click on a unit, on down here you can see the unit role. Now you can change it if you want to, but this is actually quite important because it will determine how the units behave. So main effort units are typically tanks, infantry, and etc. And there are those that you're going to be focusing on taking ground objectives. Line units are sort of like the second line of attack. Then you can have res roles. So this is essentially reconnaissance. So these are scouts, and they can typically operate outside the command range without any penalty, so outside of the range of their HQ and etc. And they're typically harder to spot. And then you have overwatch roles. So this is typically for anti-tank, air defense, or artillery, where your job is going to be to sort of cover or provide cover from the main effort by doing suppression fire or attacking the enemy and etc. And then you have support roles. So this is HQs, and potentially artillery again, and engineering. Now HQ, as I already said, are very important because the idea is that the HQs are sort of the one giving the command to the other units. So you have to keep them alive and you have to keep them in the command range of your unit. Otherwise it will affect negatively your unit's ability to fight. Now, if an HQ unit is destroyed, another unit will be promoted to become the new sort of HQ, so that you can still like give out orders and based on the chain of command. if you want to see, you can right click on a unit and you can flash the HQ location so you can see where it's at. Also in the unit dashboard, you can see the distance to your HQ. Next, we're going to be focusing on these different orders. So what you can do is there are different ways you can tell the unit what to do. So there are 3 main ways you can tell the units to move. You can say assault, move deliberate, and move hasty. What is the difference? Assault means that the unit will move in a spread out formation using both roads and off-roads movement, and it's going to be ready to attack an enemy. Move deliberate is a more defensive move than assault, but it still can travel on or off road. And then move hasty is significantly faster, but they will try to stick to main roads, which means there will be better line of sight for the enemy and they might get hurt. So you're going to be picking one of those. So we're going to pick, for example, move deliberate, and then you can place up to 6 waypoints. So I can say, hey, I want you to move like this, and then commit. Afterwards, you're going to be asked, what should they do once they end the movement? So you can pick hold, screen, and resupply. Hold means that they're going to be try to defend. So they'll try to pick the best position or defense within the hex. And if the unit stays there for longer than 30 minutes and you keep it on the hold, it will be able sometimes to dig in for better defensive protection. So this is a good idea for example, trying to protect a victory objective. This, by the way, is a victory objective. And next up is screen. It's a non-moving state of seeking moderate cover, and it's ready to attack or move if required. So it's going to try to stand off 1+ hex from the enemy, so it might move away from where you told it to go because it's on that screen. And resupply is self-explanatory. So I'm going to click here H to hold. Let's say I clicked on a different unit, then I came back, I'm not clicking at this and being like, oh, that's kind of weird. So you can actually move these around. So you can click and drag where you want them to move, or you can right click and delete the viewpoint, and then it's going to move around. And it's going to keep the same instruction, so it still has that hold at the end, but you can kind of move it around like this, however you want. Also notice here, there's this little symbol moving up, and that's telling you that this unit is given move order. So this is how you can easily tell if you already gave out an order or not, by this little arrow. There are other ways to tell, and that's this little symbol on the right bottom. So this M means that this unit is ordered to move. The H here means that the unit is on hold. So remember what we just talked about, the hold at the end of the move. Well, this unit is just told to hold in position. So if you keep it there for a long time, it will dig in. You can also have B, Barrage, O, On Call, C, Counter Battery, L, Resupply, and E, Engineering Action. So this is, for example, On Call. On Call means that you can give it out like later orders. Now, so these are the basic sort of movement options for the regular unit, like tank or infantry, etc. If you have an artillery, you can also choose to go for a barrage, and you have multiple options. You can click suppression fire, neutralizing fire, or smoke to block visual. Once you pick any of these options, you can click on whether you want them to shoot, and then you're going to be able to either just agree, this is like pick a mission preset, or you can change this yourself. So you can, so for example, pick how many rounds you want to use and the duration, so within the next sort of like time frame, how many minutes you want them to shoot at, and they might spread it out, and etc. Now lastly, a helicopter will have another special attack which is called Hunt. And what does that do is that we'll sort of be on the lookout for enemies, and we'll try to destroy any enemies if you can see them, but we'll also simultaneously try to stay within cover for itself so the enemies can't quite see it. Now, sometimes you may give out an order and notice that it's not really followed the way you wanted it to, and that's because there can be some order changes. For example, a unit will try to keep itself alive, so it might not move into a slot that's currently being shot at, or other things. So specifically, it can switch it into a different type of order. For example, assault and move can switch the screens, which means that they will try to move away from an enemy to try to not get themselves killed. If you have an Overwatch or support unit, it will stop advancing if the associated main effort unit are lost in battle, so there's no one to support, so it will just stop. Also, if you're moving units in a group move, they will try to keep the formation by the role appropriately. So how do you do group moves? You can click, you click Shift and you pick multiple units, and then you right click and you say move deliberately, for example, let's say over there. And it will then For each of them, it will give them a specific position near that target location, depending on it will try to keep the formation of the unit roles. Lastly, let's talk about the standard operating procedure. You need to right-click on a unit and then go to the SOP manager. All right, let's talk about the standard operating procedure. So here you can adjust how you want the units to behave in more detail. So for example, you can adjust the stance of a unit. You can adjust the combat. You can say, hey, I don't want you to fire at all. I want you to fire only once you're fired upon. I want you to stay at short range with enemy units. I want you to stay at maximum range, etc. You can affect the movement, the transport, recovery a lot. Now, once you're happy with this and you set something up, you can apply it to this unit only. You can apply it to all units of the same type. You can also apply it to self and all subordinates if you're an HQ. Can't do it here because it's not an HQ. But you can also apply it to this unit on this and later orders, because you can change these SOPs on different orders. So for example, on default, I might want this unit to attack point blank, but specifically with this assault order that I gave it, I might want it to stay to not fight at all, to just refuse fire. Okay, so you can set this up based on orders or units or a combination of those. All right. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, write down in the comments. You can click on the right to watch some other games at the channel. See you there. Bye-bye.